Peace. Yo, so I'm gonna do another short vid before I shut it down for the night. I was thinking about a few things while I was at work, and of course, everything gets reduced down to the numbers. So, of course, me being pretty much like a second-hand indulger of the nation of the gods and earth. I say second-hand because I was never like officially brought into it. It was introduced to me, and I just took it and ran with it, all the while searching and still seeking to expand and grow. But the feature that struck out to me the most was always with divine mathematics. So I've always taken that and pretty much that's like my tool. At the end of the day, mathematics shows and prove, actual facts. So, and if you don't believe me, that's cool, but, all you gotta do is study it for yourself, and, just to get right into it, I was contemplating on the idea of the cipher and how understanding the cipher as, any person, place, thing, a cipher is an empty, it's like, you know what I'm saying, it is a totality, it is an all or nothing. But more so, when we're considering it, we must consider it as with everything else, consider these concepts as it relates to us in the personal. Like how I was building with a sister, and she was curious about the number sequences, like, 444, 1111. Seeking the breakdown of, these digits. And like I told her, I said, it depends on your experience. Like what I do is, and there are different ways you could break it down, but for someone who doesn't read a lot of literature or don't have access to a lot of references to study or to get a good idea or a good grasp, I say, always begin with yourself. Always start from within and work your way out. So you would notice a number sequence, like for those of you who have always checked the phone or always look at the time. You never check the time otherwise, but the moment you check the time, you always see the same time, 11:11. What does that mean? Well, like I told her, just consider, like, in that moment in time, what were you doing in that moment in time? What were you thinking about? Obviously, there is a synchronicity that is involved, and what I'm trying to get at is, taking these abstract, divinely contemplated concepts and to actualize and to make them practical. And this is like a practical way of dealing with these things, to go from the books to go from the handwritten books to the book of the king, or the books of Solomon, and by that I mean, like, Solomon builds the temple without hands. You know, and for those who are into occult studies, who truly know the symbology and the allegory of that myth, who, you know, you understand that books are a temple. Books are temples. You know, and the original book, man, is the original book. You know, your temple is the book. You know, so to go from the handwritten stories to, you know, you writing your own story, or you studying yourself, you studying your own story, you studying, you know, through your experiences and things that are happening around you. So, you know, you see the number sequences, you know, consider what's going on. You know, there is meaning in that. A popular idea, no, not popular, more like, you know, something that intrigues me is when I study the wheel of the zodiac, and, you know, and you consider the degrees, how 1 degree, or just one itself, you know, one is one. You know, the infinitely small to the infinitely large. You know how 1 degree, the subtleties within the 1 degree can be reflected throughout the whole entire cipher, the whole entire. You know, you was to fractionalize, you know, and place in degrees the time of a man's life, how 1 day of a man's life, the undercurrents, you know, the subtleties within that 1 day can reflect the entire lifespan. You see what I'm saying? And this is the type of concept that helps one to understand and appreciate these kinds of sciences, to understand that, you know, the all in the all. You know what I'm saying? The oak tree within the acorn, or you know, however you want to visualize that. You know, the grown adult man or woman seated within the child. You see what I'm saying? You know, all of us have a blueprint. You know, all of us have a destination. And if you want to know the destination, all you have to do is study the subtleties of the starting points. So, back to the cipher. The numbers 1 through 9, outside in nature and within action, within the moment of our experiences, they are as they are. They are functioning as individual entities. However, consider that everything around you is a cipher. So, within the cipher, each of the numbers 1 through 9 function simultaneously. And when I say that, I mean within a living entity. So within you, all of the numbers exist as potencies. They're like pools that are filled up with your essence. You know, and you know, they augment your energy, and your energy expresses itself through each of these entities. And that's the best way I can explain it. It's basically like you have these seeds of potential, and like as who you are, You are not a one. You are not just a two. You have all of these entities within you simultaneously that express themselves at specific rates or specific frequency or specific intensity at certain times. And this is when you get into the dynamic of the dualism, the dynamic of the two, the observer versus that which is observed, or the cause versus the effect, or the I and the them or the they, or you know what I'm saying, like you as an individual, you are the black dot, and everything around you is your circumference. Everything around you is the will. So you could see the concept in your mind that opens you up to the idea of you being a cipher with the host, with these entities, and you being yourself as a will, and your will matching and resonating or distant or having, depending on the moment in time, because there's a timing factor, the motion in time, the dynamic between you, the internal and the external. So you have energies which we imagine as that we use the numbers to symbolize. So, and I call them entities. So you have the external entities that link up with the entities within you, which cause specific effects, which through your action cause specific effects to occur. So every action you take creates a new cipher. It creates a new a new being. It creates a new host of entities. So basically, if you was to act upon matter, you are basically placing a new seed within the matrix. And this seed also has the entities 1 through 9, or that we abstractly call 1 through 9, because we haven't personified anything. We understand these as energies. So that becomes a seed, a living seed, because all things is alive. Anything that vibrates is living. So it also has the 1 through 9 functioning simultaneously within it. And when you understand the dynamics of this phenomena, then you will understand the implications of the life cycles of things, like the different modes and behavior, the actions and reactions of, the actions and reaction through the interaction of beings that occupy this space of existence. But when you talk about things like that, like, there's a lot to consider. So everything can't be taught. You have to come to a point where you're teaching yourself. I don't use a lot of fly fancy words when when I get into my build. I just, I have a lot of books, I read a lot, but like, whatever comes to me, come to me. And like, these ideas, you know, I like to see more of these types of dialogues because it's important. More of a direction towards practical metaphysics. And like I said, I deal mostly with the numbers because the numbers, as I see them, are living entities. You know, I could look at anything at any moment of time. Odds or the active forces, the evens or the passive feminine forces. If you was to take a grid, if you was to imagine for a moment, kind of like how the Matrix, all the numbers surrounding everything and within all things, you know, around your flesh. If you was to imagine everything turning into numbers and, you know, like a grid, like a mental grid, you know, this goes beyond your traditional or the modernization of, you know, what it has been popular, like this new age. It's almost like, it almost has a new age feel, like the way numerology is done. It's like, you know, it's like cookie cut. It's like cookie cut. It doesn't have that organic, like that raw feel to it. And I want to introduce like that rawness to it, like that fresh rawness to it. You know what I'm saying? The true science, you know, to the study of numbers. You could engage in, you know, determine what a thing is simply by studying the cluster of these entities together. You know what I'm saying? So it really requires somebody who is able to focus a great deal of attention to the small details. You know, and it's something that you train your mind to pick up on, you know, and it never fails. I promise you, it never fails. Wherever you see specific numbers, you see specific phenomena, you see specific behaviors of, you know what I'm saying, like you always see something distinct that is relative to the symbology of what we commonly call, you know, the digits, you know, the numerals. I see a lot of books that pretty much regurgitate like the Pythagorean system, which, as I said before, Pythagoras never even used that system. You know, the system we use today is based off of our English alphabet. You know, and the placements are, you know, we have 26 letters, so, you know, it's 26, you know, numbers 1 through 26. You know, some systems, you know, there's a system that considers the numbers as they are, like the actual 26. Pythagoras system, you know, breaks everything down to a single digit. And everything has a meaning to it. Everything is valid in a sense. Everything is valid. Nothing is incorrect. You know what I'm saying? There really isn't a lot of discrepancies between Pythagoras and the Chaldean system. The Chaldean is more, you know, more accurate. You know what I'm saying? Depending on what you're looking for. My rule of thumb is whatever book you're studying, just treat each system that you come across like a game board. You know, every game you play come with a set of rules. So if you're a beginner, of course, your best bet would be to stick within those parameters, stick within the guidelines. You know what I'm saying? Don't deviate from what has been instructed to you. You know, and practice with that until, you know what I'm saying, you feel like, you know, you want to expand. You know, some people like to merge systems together, not taking into account the fact that every system is different for a reason. You know, when these sages or these wise men create these spiritual systems, or just any system really, you know, don't have to be spiritual what one would judge or consider as spiritual, but you know what I'm saying, like whatever you want to, you know, whatever they come up with, whatever system was made with specific ideas in mind. You know, someone had a certain way, a certain perspective about the world around them. You see this all the time throughout different, that's why all the cultures across the world are diverse. All the cultures across the world are diverse because all the different cultures were brought up in different geographical location, and depending on which area, which location you are on the earth, you're going to be subject to specific fields of energy. You see what I'm saying? That's going to impact your psychology, and that's getting into the understanding of not gravitation, but like magnetism. You know how magnetism linked with the psychic forces, the mental forces of, you know what I'm saying, the astral forces. You know, it could get pretty heavy. You know, so, you know, just like all the master teachers before, you know, they always encourage one to put in the time and the effort to gain a better understanding of these concepts, because another thing I see with the advancement of technology and this, you know, this crave for social attention, you see a lot of people speak wisely. They speak, what's the word I'm looking for? They pretty much, it's like mixing truth with falsehood to validate the errors, to validate the falsehood. And I see a lot of that. I see a lot of mixing. You know, I see a lot of, you know, that's why we have to be clear in the things we attempt to break down. You know what I'm saying? Like the difference between the soul and the spirit. You know what I'm saying? And being able to properly identify the different realms that, you know, that supersede this physicality that we're used to, this third density that we're so accustomed to. There are different levels. You know, scientists aren't able to detect beyond, you know, what we could see, taste, touch, or feel. You know, without special instruments, and even the instruments can do so much. You know what I'm saying? People are using tuning forks, and I forget this woman's name. She has a book on tuning forks, but she actually mapped the anatomy of a person's energy field. You know, depending on the location that she was, the area of the body she was on, she was tapping into different emotions of her clients. You know what I'm saying? So everything is everything. We already understand how astrology links to the anatomy of man. And of course, for those who understand man being the living temple, the original book that is always revising. You always, your DNA is the script. So, and your blood is the song, is it's the rhythm, the pulse, the beat of your heart. So, everything is everything. The numbers supersede the form. So I see a lot of people, they attempt to try to invalidate the study of numerology within within the wrong context. Like they try to derail it, but you can't derail it. You can't derail numerology, because numerology supersedes the realms that you attempt to break it down in. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't it's not the same as astrology. You know what I'm saying? Astrology requires knowledge of specific mechanics and mathematical laws, you know what I'm saying, to be able to chart, the distance between objects, you know what I'm saying, you need knowledge of astrology to properly conduct the birth chart, you know what I'm saying. You need to understand trigonometry, you know what I'm saying, because you are contemplating, you are measuring actual form, you are measuring bodies in the physicality. But what do you need to measure them? You need numbers to measure them. You see what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter where you see the number. It doesn't matter if you're using the Gregorian calendar. Like, if you want to do your life path, it doesn't matter if you're using the Gregorian calendar, the Julian calendar, whatever calendar you use, and the numbers you render from that, from the date. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What matters is you. You are what matters. You are the observer. And you, as the observer, whatever you choose to observe, whatever you choose to focus your first eye, your cyclops, whatever you choose to focus your beam on, that is going to be relevant. So here in America, and for those who are familiar with the system, if you use the Pythagorean system, then it is valid for you. Make it work for you. Another issue I see people is, like, a lot of people try to get into this type of shit, but they're doubtful. You can't have any doubts. You know what I'm saying? Doubt is a frequency. Doubt is a frequency. Fear is a frequency. It shuts your shit down. You're not going to be able to do anything. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You can't tap in when you're surrounded by low forms of energy. Like, you can't meditate. Like how I got the light on. You can't meditate if you leave the light in your room on all fucking day. You know what I'm saying? You can't properly get into a meditative state. You know what I'm saying? If the waves, if the harmful waves from your cell phone keeps beaming, because these are affecting your energy field. All of these things affect your energy field. You know what I'm saying? Why you think you need to sleep to truly heal? You know what I'm saying? You have to go to sleep so that you may truly heal your body. You know what I'm saying? For those of you who suffer from painful ailments that leave your body in pain. When you go to sleep, are you in pain? No. Nothing is going on with your body. You know what I'm saying? You're not, you know what I'm saying? You're not fucking, having a heart attack or some shit like that while you sleep. But the moment you wake, the moment you open your eyes, you know what I'm saying? The moment you open your eyes, the moment your conscious awareness come back to this reality that you created, you know what I'm saying, that you built without your hands, you know what I'm saying, because it starts from here. So you become aware of your surroundings. And see, there are three. This is where the number 3 come in. You have your awareness. You have, your awareness as the observer. Your surroundings, which is that which, that which you observe. And your thought of what you are observing. And, your thought and your feel, and your thought is what draws, as the water bearer. The thought as a vehicle is what draws in the waters of your flow, your emotions, that draws in your energy. So that's the Trinity. Soon as that causes, because 3 is also activation. Those 3 dynamics coming together, that constitutes the activation, and all of your shit, all of your baggage, everything starts coming back online. You start that sickness. You start feeling in pain. I used to wake up. You know what I'm saying? And I'm in pain. I go from a peaceful state and I'm in pain all of a sudden. Just from being aware. Because the shit that the raw materials that I've used to build my reality, they are deep seated. They are rooted in the subconscious. So it's not something that you could just easily like wish away. A lot of us go through things as a burden, because we've accrued a certain amount of karmic debt. A way that you can override karmic debt is by, and you could do this many types of ways. Some people choose to get into yoga and to, activate their spiritual centers and things like that, which is what is needed. However, if you want to, get started in it, like me personally, like I told you, I deal with numbers. So, like, it's because it's like, it's the easiest thing to get into. Like, you can immediately, like, look and see where you're at. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if you was to do a number chart for yourself, you could easily see where you're at. You ain't got to do too much, thinking about it. A lot of it is intuition, but it's intuition linked with, specific potent ideas. You know what I'm saying? Like, 1 will always be unity. 2 will always denote the duality. So 3 will always be expansion. You know what I'm saying? 4 will always be limitation. You see what I'm saying? 5 will always be just shit. 5 is like 5 is just, you know what I'm saying? It's just 5 is 5. 5 is what it is. You know what I'm saying? 5 is crazy. 6 is more stable. You know what I'm saying? 5 is like don't know. I don't know. 5 is something though. 6 is more stable. 6 is always going to be stability. 7 is always going to be rest. 8 is always going to be... 8 is another one. 8 is like, you know what I'm saying? 8 is like fucking everything. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know. You know what I'm saying? And 9 is just release. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you just look, you know, and you see what you gain from it. When you do the, what is it? Like if you was to take your birthday and you would do the month, the day, the year, you know, you would break each of those down separately and then bring them together, you know, the life path, which would be like, you know, the nature of the major events in your life, things that have meaning, because we have an infinitude of circumstances that happen, but there are specific circumstances that are marked, and that it's kind of like putting a tally on your soul. You know what I'm saying? So if you're doing numbers, the goal is just to pretty much use your numbers as like a roadmap. Not only as a roadmap, but as a blueprint. Anywhere you find your numbers is going to have a subtle, you know, significance for you. It's going to have a special significance for you. You know what I'm saying? And there's always going to be an element of mystery within it. And that mystery is left for you as an individual to unravel. If you was to, because, you know, a lot of people, you search outside of yourself. And my cousin said it best. My cousin, Nation of the Gods, Peace to the Gods. He put, you know, when I was searching, when I was 18 and I was trying to find answers, I said, what's the missing piece? What's the missing piece to the puzzle? What do I need to put all this shit together? And it's humble. He humbly said, you know, and you know, the most wisest shit that I've ever heard at the time. You that piece. You are that piece. You are the God. You're that piece. You're that missing piece to the puzzle. You know, that missing piece is always added. You know, it's always added. Like, science is science. Math is math. It doesn't truly become something special until you handle it and you express it through your cipher. You know what I'm saying? Everyone has their favorite author. You know, there are many writers on specific subjects, but we all have our favorite author on a specific subject because we like